today I am officially introducing my 2005 Volvo S60R. I just bought this thing about 2 months ago. Some of you may have seen it in our other in the shop episode. If you haven't checked it out yet, now's the time to, after you watch this, to go see that video. It's a super fun car. I've loved it ever since I laid eyes on it. It has a 2.5 liter 5-cylinder turbo, all-wheel drive, manual 6-speed, nice leather interior, and mostly the car hasn't been messed with too much. Just some nice aesthetic things here and there, like it has the factory aero kit. It has some lowering springs, and then in the episode that we did in the shop, we did some camber correcting bushings to fix the rear camber on this thing. It has a mild exhaust, just a MagnaFlow with a big huge resonator on it, and then it has an intake modification to get some more airflow. It also has a pearl white vinyl wrap. The car's factory color is like a mica, like a dark mica blue, and the previous owner actually did the vinyl wrap himself. He did a great job doing it. I guess he threw away a lot of vinyl before he finally got it right. The guy's got more patience than I do, because that's not something I'd be able to do. Yeah, let's go for a drive. So one of the things that I really love about this car is that it actually has an active chassis control, and that does a couple things. So one of the things that it does, so you basically have 3 different settings. You got comfort, sport, and advanced, and between those settings the ECU changes the suspension, the dampening. It changes the ignition timing when you step on the throttle. It changes the throttle response because it's actually a drive-by-wire setup, and it'll change the wastegate duty cycle and increase the boost. So between comfort and sport, so now we're in sport, we're in comfort, it just stiffened up the suspension, and it doesn't change the throttle response too much, and it increases the boost by maybe a couple of pounds. But then once we switch it to advanced, it stiffens the suspension up even more, and really changes the throttle response. I mean, it's like night and day difference. So the car is really responsive in the handling and the throttle. And then it increases the wastegate duty cycle to set off at about 20 psi. And what this car has is just an Afr Correction tune, because from the factory these cars tend to run a little bit lean, and they were having this kind of inherent issue where they would run the cylinder, or the combustion temperatures would run really high, and it was cracking the cylinder walls. So basically this guy, I can't remember his name right now, does a remote tuning service for these cars where you just basically download some software to your laptop, do some data logging, you ship them off your tune, and he sends you the new tune back, and you upload it, and you do that like 3 or 4 times, and you're good to go. It's super cheap, super effective, and a great way to keep your car from blowing up on you, because once those cylinder walls crack, your block is worthless. So car's got nice big Brembo brakes, front and rear, 4-pot aluminum Brembos, and this 6-speed that's in this is probably just about the nicest 6-speed I've ever felt. I mean, the thing just falls right into gear. It's nice and notchy and tight. It's a really nice transmission. So some of you may have seen one of our previous videos where we're doing kind of a ride-along footage of us in my SS. So I recently sold my SS, and I was looking to just upgrade to something newer as far as the Legacy goes, and I was actually looking for a Legacy Spec B. Legacy Spec B is basically an STI drivetrain in a Legacy, They're kind of hard to find, and they're, of course, in the Northwest, any Subaru is going to be inexpensive. But every time that I searched Spec B, this thing kept coming up, and I've never really thought of a Volvo before, but I started looking into the specs for this thing, and you know, it's a 2.5. It has a 6-speed. It makes just as much, or actually a little bit more horsepower than an STI. It's a hell of a lot cheaper. Hey, another S60. What's up, fam? And the interior is much nicer. I mean, the ride's nice. And of course, with any European car, you're going to spend more money in maintenance. That's just the way it is. It just has more bells and whistles. But, you know, if you can do the research and do the work yourself, I think it's well worth it, because it's definitely a big step up from owning a Subaru. What a beautiful noise. Love the grunt of that 5-cylinder. Doesn't sound like my boxer motor anymore. Sounds like it's misfiring all the time. Well, folks, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed my S60. I sure do, if you did.